Let me write what God said here on the board. Look what God said, brother. I don't think you've ever looked at this. And it says, and God said, let us make man. The key word here is what? Yes. What does us mean? More than one. Who was God talking to? If God was all by himself and no one was here but him, who was he talking to when he said, let us make man? Who was here with God that was about to help him make this man? When God was getting ready to make the sun, he didn't say, let us make some sun. He said, let there be light. And here the sun, a ball of fire, 2,679,785 miles in circumference, 853,000 miles in diameter, 14,972 degrees hot, and God can say, let there be, and that big ball of fire pop up in the universe with no help. Now you know something is wrong. It should be harder to make that than a man. A huge ball of fire, 2,679,785 miles in circumference, 14,972 degrees hot. That's a whole lot of heat. And God said, let there be, and it just jumped up into the universe. He didn't ask for no help. He said, let there be this and let there be that. He had so much power that everything he wanted came into existence. As soon as he said be, there it was. But when he got to the man, something happened. He said, let us make man. Someone else was there then, wasn't there? That's something to think about. We'll let you think about it for a minute. The white man's world is a newer world than the black man's world. If this man that they said that they were about to make, and he said we'll make him how? In our image, showing you that there's somebody there with him. In our likeness, showing you that still somebody is there with him. Let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Let us make him look like us. He won't be the same as we are. He'll be our image. That's God talking, right? He's talking to somebody. You know, I'm thankful to Allah for raising up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and making us see these things that we could never see before. The birth of the white race has always been a secret. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that the birth of the white race is shrouded in the story of Adam. The story of Adam hides the birth of the white race. And because you and I have never been taught to look into a thing and analyze a thing, we took the story of Adam exactly as it was and thought that God made a man named Adam 6,000 years ago. But today, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that that man, Adam, was a white man. But before Adam was made, the black man was already here. And that's not easy. That's not hard to see. The black man always, the white man will even tell you that. Because he refers to Adam as the first one. He refers to the Adamites as those who came from that first one. And he refers to the pre-Adamites as those who were here before Adam. Right or wrong? Those people that were here before Adam. And he always refers to these people as aborigines, which means what? Black folks. Whenever you never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines. But you don't like to be called an aborigine. You want to be called an American. Aborigine actually means from the beginning. It's two Latin words. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. And aborigine is only the term applied to those dark-skinned people who have been on this earth since the beginning of the universe. You know, that's going way back. He said, what you mean since the beginning of the universe? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that just as we pointed out there a moment ago, the black man has been here a long time. He never has had a beginning, but the white man has never had a knowledge of the history of the black man. It's like a father and a son. If the father is 50 years old and the son is only 10, the father knows everything there is to know about his son because he was here before his son was born. The son only knows what has happened during his own 10 years. He only knows what went on before his arrival from what his father tells him. It's the same way with the black man and the white man. The black man's been here a long time, but the white man has been here a short time. Now, the white man only knows about himself what he's been told, and he hasn't been told anything. He came to himself up in the caves of Europe. He can't get any information that goes beyond the caves. And since you and I fell into his trap and was made deaf, dumb, and blind by him, now we don't have access to any information that the white man doesn't know about. So we think that the beginning of the white man meant the beginning of everything.
You're not Indian. You're not Indian. You're not Indian. You're not aboriginals. You're not natives. You're not indigenous.
How do you know that?
Get the fuck out the street.
The Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the think show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find their way here to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the indigenous one. So a lot of stuff going on that we got to be aware of. We're going to hit on that tonight, a few things that are happening, a few things that I think is important. And we just want to share them with you. We riff on them and, see what you think of what's being said. If you want to get into the conversation, I am putting the link to the chat in the chat box right now. So if you have something to say, something we might know, something we may need to know, because we don't know everything. It's a lot of you out there who's doing a lot of work. Like the young man we're having tonight, you guys are picking up a lot of stuff, and it needs to be shared because we need to know more than what we know right now as a group of people. So joining me tonight, and you've seen this brother around, he be posting some stuff, man, be finding stuff, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of people do what he does. He brings inspiration and ideas to other people just from the stuff that he finds out. And we all have that spirit in us. So now I just want to welcome Mr. Michael Hampton to the program. What's going on, Mike?
How's it going? How's it going, Brother Gary? How you doing,
man?
bro?
Everything is cool, man. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
No problem.
Copper Colored Lifestyle. How you
Yes,
doing
sir.
tonight, love? Good. So we're going to get into what's the difference between the American Indian and the Aborigine in a minute. But first, I want to talk about what's going on in the mainstream and how it affects us on the real. And I just want to give Mike ideas because he's in a major city, and he may look at things a little bit different than I do from the little small town that I'm in. So I'd like to get his thoughts on things because how things move in the city, they don't always work the same way in the country. And I'm sure everybody understand that. So Mike, spoke to a young lady earlier today, and she told me something that she was right, but I never thought of it, and I want to share that idea with you. She said, we've been misidentified for so long, most of our people wouldn't recognize their relatives from the 1800s. What do you think about that?
Well, she's right. I mean, we've been, let's just say I'm going to use me as a total example. Since I was born in 1965, reared and raised here in Chicago through the 70s, we've been watching a lot of slave movies, and they really got dominant in the 80s, I believe. But in the 70s, with that Roots movie with LeVar Burton and the rest of the cast as Kunta, I mean, we've been taken, especially the school system, so far away from even if our grandparents, and I use grandparents because, as I said, me born in the 60s, man, and my grandmother who raised me, she was born in the early 1903. So coming out of the 1800s, with her grandmother raising her, she knew exactly who she was. And it wasn't anything about Africa, which I have no problem with being, if that was the case, African. But yeah, we've been so far removed from what we probably was taught, man, that we wouldn't recognize any type of depiction of us in a book or a billboard sign, or we just say African, So the woman is on point that asked that question or made that statement. We wouldn't know our relatives. If you saw them in the picture, you figure, hey, just another African. As though there was no dark skin or brown skin inhabitants here until they were brought here. Supposedly brought here.
Yeah, I think I think she hit that. I couldn't say that. I like when people do that. When they say something, you're right. You're absolutely right. We wouldn't know.
But phenotypically, I mean, you got people have an idea, man, that my first cousin, my eldest uncle on my father's side, his daughter, my first cousin, she married a guy from Cameroon. Now, I didn't know he was from Cameroon. I always knew he was African coming up. She married him about in 1969, 68, something like that. She met him at Malcolm X College here in Chicago. She was a college student. He was a college student, professional, whatever they were going for the career. And people have asked me in the past, man, you mean no Africans in the family? I mean, you asking me about me and my mother and father's lineage? Or you talking about my first cousin's or second cousin's lineage? I mean, he married her, and made children by her. That's got nothing to do with my bloodline.
Right.
So, I mean, I can recognize some Cameroonians, some Ghanaians. I can tell, especially when they go to speak today. I know they're not from here. And I can tell the Jamaican's accent, which there's so many Africans over there. So it's hard to tell. You are kind of separated from, who you are. But the phenotype isn't quite in either side of my family.
Right. I think a lot of times we just go on looks. If the skin is dark, you black, and you automatically pin yourself to Africa. But I always like to, remind people, what does a person sound like? They sound, people in certain places sound a certain way. And I found out that's overlooked a lot. What do you think about that?
Well, there you go back to, you know what, Gary? Now, me coming up through the 70s, man, and here in Chicago, man, it has always been segregated, okay?
Right.
And we liked it that. Well, I did. I did. So I've never, as a child, through grammar school or high school, went to school with no other than my own kind. Right. There was no white children. There were no Africans. If anyone has ever been to Chicago, they'll know the north side from the south side. They'll know the west side from the east, which would be the Lake Michigan. That area where, there's money there. And the children, we all had the same lingo. I mean, Soul Train started here in Chicago.
Right.
When you look at that before they went to California and a lot of mixture started dancing, I mean, that's how we were. And I'm sure in every city, that's because we represented the whole country, And that's how we were, man. I mean, if anyone different had came we'd have known right off that they wasn't from here. So now by the time I made it to like 18 or so, I went to Job Corps at 18. When I came back, a lot of different people was coming into the neighborhood, but they was all of color. And there was one Jamaican guy who came, man, he was cool, man. I mean, he fit right in. Well, he had no choice. I mean, you coming into a predominantly black neighborhood, quote, unquote, you're going to fit in as a child, man, or you're going to be cast out. So with the language and all, man, and I'm sure a lot today, these foreigners, I have to call them that, because I'm not just talking about people from Africa, I'm talking worldwide.
Right.
Their children, if they don't bring them with them, they make them here, and the child happens to grow up what? Around the group, and they learn the lingo. So they fit right in. And it's hard to tell who they are because now they speak in the way that the American, Negro, or black, or colored, African American speaks.
Right. Yeah. Bingo again. Bingo again. You know, 'cause that's why I like to, you know, when I hear brothers like, you know, you speak, you know, just how you speak. They don't speak how you speak in the Caribbean. They don't speak how you speak in South America. They don't speak how you speak in Hawaii. You know, it's a sound. You know, everybody got a different sound. I'm sure if you go to some of the places in Europe, you know, different places in different states over there, the people sound different. The people got a different dialect and stuff. And that's what somebody from New York has a different dialect than somebody from California, you know? But you can always tell or who they are by the way they sound.
From what I've been told of that whenever an American, and we're all melanated people, go to other countries, they can be told right off who they are. I don't know how, man. I really don't. I figure we have a Pacific phenotype, but lately we've been mixing and making these children that, like as I said earlier, they fit right in, you know.
Right.
But I'm sure I can tell someone from another country. Because when I say the east side here of Chicago, that's our downtown area, the Loop area we call it. And it's near Lake Michigan. It's right off the lake. And every walk of life is down there, be it winter, summer, or whatever. And you've been here. You see, it's just, you know, that's what they call the melting pot. But within the neighborhoods, there's no melting pot. You fit in, you know, to your own group. So they say that when we go to other countries, we don't really have to speak. They can tell who you are, you know. Mm-hmm. But since for the past 20 years, I would say, it's hard to tell here in the United States, man, because everyone comes over here, and I can't understand it to save my life because I was taught that Africa was the motherland. Why you running over here then? I mean, why don't you go home? If that's where life started, home is Africa. What's the problem coming here? I haven't figured it out.
So have you asked that question?
No one gives me an answer. Yeah, I've asked it. You know, I don't get a clear answer.
Yeah, I just taken, you know, to mind that, you know, when people speak, I like to find out what they're talking about. Just ask a question, and when you ask a question, first they get mad. I don't know why they get mad, and so then I don't want to make them turn out to be a liar, so I just leave them right there, because then they're gonna start lying, you know, and you don't have to do that. So yeah, man, I find it off the hook that things like that, we don't recognize other people when they come in. We just take in everybody, and how we don't realize what that means. So there's a story online, and this couple of newspapers picked them up. It's been in Congress and all this, that China has police stations over here in America. What do you think that means for the African American?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to turn the U.S. into Africa. I mean, that blew me away, man. They brought their own police or military over there in certain parts of Africa. I'm like, man, they really are invading over there. So I guess it's gonna turn out. They trying to turn it out that way here, you know.
Yeah.
And hey, that gives a lot of our quote unquote gangbangers something to gangbang about then, huh?
Right.
They're gonna see their territories taken over. I would figure. So let's see who's the real gangbanger.
Yeah, it's about to get really interesting. Since it's gonna be really interesting, the topic of tonight is gonna be what's the difference between an American Indian and an Aborigine? Because a lot of times, as a group of people, we seem to get caught up into certain things. So Mike is going to explain that to us tonight so we can have a clearer understanding of what's being said. Because now the language is going to change real quick. You have a lot of immigrants over here and they're trying to get in and fit in. They're telling you, I mean, you just brought in Kamala Harris and nothing still has happened. But these are the kind of things we do. We think other people are us because we don't know who we are. So Mike is about to take it now and explain that dynamic to you. Hopefully you'll get a better understanding. Mike?
Okay. Well, you know, Kerry had made mention some time back that he wasn't really too pleased with the word aboriginal or aborigine because it's such a broad term, and it is. You know, it's just a identifier of a people, place, or thing. You know, we all relatively know the definition of aboriginal, I mean the first inhabitants of a place or a plant or whatever. And with the American Indian, it is more specific to what the colonizers was calling the people. We all know by now there's no Christopher Columbus that discovered anything over here. I found documents. I would bring them up. I was trying to work my screen earlier, but I got to get back into this. That where there were Americans that Columbus had met before 1492 in Ireland. You know, everyone of the Western Hemisphere always knew about us over here. They always knew about it. If they heard legends or myths, they knew there was another continent for the Negroes. Okay? So, Aboriginal, it just describes a people, you know? But within that people, and I got what Kerry was saying a while back, you know, and the reason why I use it is because a lot of the information that I've researched and found, it describes the people over here. And I just found out that we were called Aboriginals before the Australians was called Aboriginals. Dates and events. That's what we always must do. Check dates and events. But the American Indian is specific. And still within the American Indian, you would have to do a genealogy. I mean, look at it this way. There's a lot of talk been going on, and it's really predominant now here 2022 about reparations. And I did a video on YouTube about reparations versus American Indian treaties. And I've been in a lot of places, and I've especially been going at another guy. I don't want to respond. I just go and mess with him anyway, because he's going to do what he want to do. If you don't know what I'm speaking of, I give you a hint. He has an upcoming movie called Maroons coming out. And well, I'll keep the personals to myself. Anyway, the thing is, just like with Maroons, that's not a monolithic one group of people. There's a lot of ethnic groups that made up the term Maroon, which means runaway. It means a lot of things. You know, whoever made up the word, they got what they really mean about it. So Aboriginal is the same. As Malcolm X broke it down, he said, quote unquote, you and I are Aborigines. Aborigines are always those dark-skinned people, natives. Okay? Well, I myself am a polygenist. A monogenist is one who thinks one way let's use an example as the out of Africa theory, that all came from one part of the world. Well, with the polygenists, well, I look at it that different segments happen all over the globe, you know. So I don't claim hominids and ape men like we're here in America. They haven't found such, but they can lie and say they have, you know. But with the Aboriginal, it just describes, the moniker describes a people, okay? And the type of people, dark-skinned people. The American Indian, but specifically for Negroes, okay? Negroes in America. Now, how do I know that? Because as in the 1828 dictionary of Webster, which is one of the first dictionaries that was here in America, it describes the people as what? Aboriginals. Copper colored. Well, after 1828 and on into the early 1900s, who was left with the label colored? You think they just, you know? No, they was coming from that book, that dictionary, colored people, you know? I was one time at a job here in the 90s, and this white woman kept messing with me for some reason. She probably liked me. But she kept messing with me. Always, every day she had something quite negative to say. And somehow we got on the topic of race. And she said her parents taught her, this is in the 90s, I'm somewhere in my 30s, to call us colored people. Well, had I known what I know now, I'd have expressed that, well, maybe it's from the dictionary, the 1828, but I said, well, we are people of color. You know, you can't, I said quite a few other things, but she was messing with me, so. But they know, intelligent white folks and other ethnic groups, they know who you are. They can tell the phenotype. They're not stupid to it. They may not agree with you, because they're not here to help us out of anything. They're here for their own gain. So the difference is, there actually really is no difference. Because with the American Indian, you still have to specifically, if you walked into a courtroom about these reparations, it's already been said that they're not going for us, we, them, and they. Who are you? Okay? You asking for reparations because of some slavery or something where you need something to back yourself up with. Because why would they help you out with a story they created to pay you or give you restitution for land or whatever loss? That doesn't make sense. I wouldn't do it. You coming to me for something I owe you, will you prove it then? Prove it. Huh? And the movie Roots won't prove it. You just have to have records of who your people are as far as you can go back with to present. Other than that, you just stuck out there. So Aboriginal, and Aborigine just describes a people, the first inhabitants. And Asian, Mongoloids, and Caucasians, they can't claim Aborigine. They know what it means. They can't claim that. They can use the word indigenous because that's just, I mean, you can say indigenous, you was here before Columbus. And indigene, which is INDIGENE, it means sprung from the land. So how does one spring from the land? Well, let's just put it like this. We came with the earth. As long as this world has been turning, spinning, however it does, the Negro was here. Okay? We don't have a timeline of when, where, and how. We were here. So there really isn't a difference. The thing is that a lot of people use Aboriginal and Aborigine. They should express to their audience and others to do your genealogy. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I mean, verbal is enough to put you on a path for paperwork. And if you've heard that somewhere down the line, or your auntie or your great, if they're still alive, or grand uncle or auntie or something, they say, well, yeah, I remember something like that as a child coming up talking about Indian. Well, that's enough for you. But if they say African, then I wouldn't doubt it. If that be the case, fine. But if you're proving yourself in a court of law, talking about I'm an Aboriginal American, and show me something, you know? Show me something on paper, because we deal with ink and paper in the courtroom. You know, that's how you would paper genocide into black, colored, Negro, African American. You know, So I did express, yeah, that's African in my family, but not in my bloodline. And that's, that's just a saying. There's no such thing as African blood. It's just ridiculous and stupid. You spank your child for talking stupid, but a grown-up, you get a pass. You don't get no pass. No such thing as African blood. You give a Pacific. And there's tribes within Ghana, Uganda, Nigeria. Give me a Pacific. I'm not going to give you some reparations just because. And we know who you are. We keep showing you and telling you, we don't like you. We own your land. We got your land. Now what you going to do about it? I gave you several names to go by. I gave you colored. I gave you black. And you all took it to the max. Black power. You took it and ran with it. Now I'm giving African American. And you like that, don't you? You're too lazy to do your own family genealogy. You take whatever they give you. And the Negroes, in those conscious communities, right? Well, they making money off your ignorance. They can't really defeat you when you go to tell them who you are. I've tried, and I'll mention it, I've tried to get on Sinetta channel many times. He won't let me on. Will not let me on. I've tried to call the number he had on the screen. I just can't get on, so I F it. Just forget it. No problem.
Yeah, those cats remind me of the Shaqs, the Charles Barkley type dude. They're just here to confuse because they're really being paid to do it. Because there's why would you do it? Knowing. Because these cats know the talking points that we speak of. Explain to me how slave ships were out racing hurricanes. I don't know. They'll say, they don't never think, they just repeat what they're told. See, that's the thing, that we're afraid to even think outside of what we've been told. Because that's all everybody repeats the same stuff. Isn't that how you hear it?
Gary, how I hear it is, they don't want to take responsibility. They figure they would have to do something about it. And they're comfortable being, one guy told me, he chose to be a Zulu. I said, wait a minute, man. Did your people tell you that? And he was rather, see, I stand about 5 foot 7, 8 inches. This guy was 6 feet something. That doesn't scare me. It's just that he's towering over me, talking about, man, I'm Zulu. All right, hey, no problem. Cool. Now, I normally bring up the subject because right now I'm doing something about it. I like to drink a lot of beer, but I'm in Alcohol Anonymous. I'm not ashamed of that. See, a man, he admits that he got a problem and he does something about it. The boy keep denying it and it gets worse. So, even here in the program, I tell the people, we get on the subject of who I am. No one says nothing. The white, the Caucasians here, the Asian here, the Native American, he got nothing to say, And I've done interviews in public years back, I get some that want to rear up and damn near fight, man. And some, man, they can't say anything, because they don't know. They know the history of we all, from Africa, and they just haven't asked their own parents a damn thing. And if they were being told, they weren't paying attention. And the thing is, Gary, I don't think a lot of us want to take responsibility at all, even if we know the facts. I mean, you have to stand up and do something about it,
Yeah, that's definite. That's why they're trying to ignore it. Because, like we were talking about when we first started. Well, you have a big immigrant invasion. You have Chinese people over here. They're not really friendly with us. A lot of us like to pretend, oh, they love us like we love them. Nah, they're not really feeling you like that. So what is it going to be like for your grandchildren if you don't start doing nothing now? And there was another question I asked you, and you were kind of really forthright about this. I was asking you, for health reasons, because we seeing with all this that's going along with these doctors and stuff and our health, do you think it would be wise for the modern day African American to find out what his grandmother, great grandmother, great grandfather, what they grew from where they were from, so they could have that, whatever that was that they produced as food, so they could have that in their systems? Do you think that'd be a feasible idea?
Well, to answer that, I would have to go to, it may not make a difference, but I'm going to answer it this way. The age bracket. I mean, I'm 57 years old, man. And I'm a bit overweight for my height. I need to lose about 20 pounds, I'm told. I'm like 212. And that's not good at all. But I'm healthy, man. I can still run pretty good, dude. I'm pretty good. I was athletic. But I say for the younger people, man, I mean, when I say younger, because my youngest son out of 5, he's 25, 26, something like that. And he's a health fanatic anyway. It depends on the individual, you know. Matter of fact, all my boys are health fanatics, and they're girl too, young woman. And I would think it's feasible to do that, man, but a lot of them just not interested, Carrie. You know, I really don't get it. The only place I've ever been here in the United States outside of Chicago is Indiana, Missouri, and Wisconsin. That's right around Chicago. I mean, nothing really is different. Now, to go as far as Californians, to know how they think and act, I only see off television, man. Or go up to the East Coast, never been. I only know from television and social media. But to meet them in person, I guess we're quite the same, man. But the younger person, I would think they want to get in tune to eat and live healthier, man. But me at 57, life ain't over with me yet, you know. Some would say it's just begun, but that depends on the health they've did with themselves in the past, man. You know, I look at people 40, broke down, man. I'm like, what were you doing in your lifetime? You know, and I've got you about 10 to 15 years and you acting like this. So I would think it'd be good that they want to check out what the grandparents did and health reasons, because they outliving us. They have outlived us, you know. To get to be 100 and still have your right mind, and these guys can't live to see 25, I feel really good that my boys, young men, 25 and over, are still alive, man.
Yeah.
I know for sure, Gary, they here in this city, it could have been taken out for numerous reasons.
So what is that like, to know you have young sons like that, and to know it's just bullets are flying everywhere? What must a father think about when he's thinking about his sons?
That I think I did pretty good as in raising them. You know, the mother and I'm not gonna. We did pretty good. I think they listened, you know, and they watched me at a lot of wrong moves I've made, and they did avoid them. I mean, yeah, I got 2 that have done time, you know, but that was their decision. You know, they waited till they was grown, and they made their decisions to be pharmacists without license, you know. The Bible said they arrested Jesus for healing people. Did he have a license? Well, they was born in jail too. Okay, so, but they're still alive, man, and they're healthy. I mean, yeah, that's what goes through my head, man. I must have did something right, and I still am, man. If they don't love me or not proud of me, they're very good actors. They need Grammys, but they show it.
Well, cool. Well, look, man, so coming up here in the near future, so we're seeing worldwide, we're seeing, if you take everything that's going on in the world and just put it in a movie screen, a 20-minute movie or something, where will you say the people who call themselves African, where do you say where they fit in everything that's going on in the world today?
You know what, Gary? I got on my mind, man. You know, I am still a musician. In the 90s, through my drug habit, I pawned many instruments, man, and just never got in the back. I'm very good at what I do, man, but I've taken that energy now and put it all into creating videos. And I always have in my head what type of video, well, I know what type, it'll be about America, you know. the African would fit in where I first picked them up at and what I studied. Do you mean now or then, or just overall where would they fit in?
Now, I'm talking about. I mean,
I don't want to insult anybody, man. You know.
It's not an insulting.
He don't like Africans. I don't know any Africans not to like them. No, I don't want that assumption, man. I don't know any. You know.
So that's what I'm saying. You see what kind of whatever this is, where you can't even say nothing without offending somebody. Nah, dude. Free speech. You should be able to say what you want to say. People just get mad because they don't have an answer and they don't want to show that they're dumb, so they got to show you that they can kick your ass. That's how most people do it. I mean, the story that you were saying about the guy who stood over 6 feet tall wanted to kick your ass. Why? Because it wasn't that you made him look stupid. He was stupid. And so we got to stop being like, well, damn, what do I say then? You're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not getting that a lot of your money is going into the Chinese banks against you. See, that has to be said. See, we don't want to hear it because we need deep into that shit. I'm saying, why support the people who are coming displacing you? Oh, mother, I kick your ass. Answer the question, dude. To get out of the answer, because they never thought of it. They get boisterous and mad and want to fight. No, that's gonna break up the conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what the Negro does, man. I mean, all of them. Most lie because they don't take the time to think about nothing, man. They're not trying to figure this out.
Kerry, I went through that maybe about 4 years back. I was staying in another part of town in Chicago, man. And the only reason why I did it because I was a bit bubbly. I was messing with a few young brothers, man. I say young, early 20s, man. You know, about who they were to America. And they all, you can say they was gang. I know they sold drugs, but that don't bother me, man. I've lived this long. I'm not worried about a thing. I got backup. And and plus I was the one initiating anything. And, you know, it came down to several weeks, you know, they kept up that, man, we African. You know you African, you know, like that. And I said, well, you know, I got to the point, man, why don't you ask your people? You got some elders still alive, man. You know, talk to them. And I'm telling you, Kerry, most of those very ones came back to me. You know what, man? They said that we are Indians, man. I mean, that's what they were saying. You know, I felt, you know, because I didn't feel bad. I didn't look stupid, man. Other people would hear the conversation, but they wouldn't say nothing. I'd be on the bus stop, you know. Right. And, you know, and that feels good, man, because I initiate, man, to talk to your people. There's somebody still alive got some damn sense, man. Everybody ain't drugged up and crazy.
Right.
So, but the African to fit in right where they fit in, man. They coming in and you hand it, well, I'm talking in general. You're handing over your identity and everything else to them, you know. Like they tried to bring up that a lot of Caribbeans are trying to say they created hip-hop. Well, you gave it to them. Shit.
Right.
Even white folks do your dance and rap and sing like you. You all happy and giddy, and then when they claim it, now you got an attitude. You know?
You see what I'm saying? The truth. So what is it with the truth, man? Why do we shy away from that?
What old boy said, the actor said, you can't handle the truth. That's why we shy away from it. It hurts, you know, to know the damn, I've been this stupid this long? At this age? You lying. As you said, to get out of the conversation and to save face, you know?
Yeah.
You know? So, but I put the African right where they belong. Over there, because if we went to Africa or Australia or Europe or the islands, they're going to remind you and let you know who you are and who you are not. You know, but here, the government let them come in, claim they're our leader, put them as our leaders, to speak for us, to talk for us, and all that old stuff, man. So, hey, it's kind of hard, Kerry. This is the government doing. I mean, we can stand up on our own and say, hey, no more. But we're not on what they say now, a code. You know, with that FBA movement, a code. Well,
you know which one of them cats pissed me off the most. No. Who pissed me off? Where we went for it and didn't ask no questions, just went for it. Stokely Carmichael. I'm like, you don't hear that this dude don't sound like he's from Mississippi. You don't hear like he don't sound like Fannie Lou Hamer. You don't hear that?
Yeah, I've heard it. Hey.
And this cat influenced the Black Panthers. And you wonder why we lose? See, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what, You wonder why we. So you're from Chicago.
Yes.
You're familiar with Fred Hampton.
Yes.
Bad dude. And man, he was bad when I was 5 years old, dude.
Yeah.
And for this brother to get taken out like that.
Well, we've always been infiltrated, Kerry, through the tribes. That they was infiltrated. I mean, we let people in, man. Yeah. I don't know I will blame most of it on that Bible. You know, love everybody. Love your enemy and your neighbor. Goddamn. If it wasn't for that Bible, we probably still would be in a better off predicament. Talking about make America great again, well, you got to get rid of all these foreigners. You don't like that kind of talk, do you, Christian? You know the Moors, they love white women. They can lie through their teeth. They love them. You know it'd be an uproar and a war. You know, get rid of them white girls, you know. So, I mean, we hand this shit over to people. They get mad when they claim it.
Right. I had this young lady was trying to convince me of Christianity. So she was going to bring her mama in. So I guess her mother is the one that shaped her. And so I just asked her mom a question. Her mama looked at me like, I don't know. I was like, ma'am, come on. Does the Bible say beat your kid's ass?
Spare not the rod.
Show no mercy. Right?
I got mine tore up.
Show no mercy. Doesn't the Bible teach that? Isn't that what God say do? So if that's good enough for the child, what's good enough for the goose is good enough for the gander. That's what I've always been told.
Yeah.
So if you can show no mercy on your kid, somebody can beat your ass and show no mercy with you, right? No, I ain't had, you know. And then it gets in a, you know how that gets. And it's like, how could you follow something that says that? And they come up with all kind of excuses, man. So, it's like that. So that's what I'm seeing. Everybody just believing in these ideologies. They don't believe in themselves. They believe in all this bullshit everybody done given them. And that's how they lead their lives. That's how they live their lives.
Let me say this, Kerry, real quick. When you make mention about where would I put the quote-unquote African, I work at a lot of job sites. And here a couple of years ago, man, I knew they wanted American women. And, well, here's one incident. I was joking with a young man, what about them slave boats, man? What them ships that they say they brought Africans over here? I knew he was African. He's from Africa. And he just looked at me really strange, man. I didn't know his mother was working there as well. They was from the temp service. And she had an attitude with me for the longest the job lasted, man. I guess they know there's some type of bullshit behind that. Why bring it up? We're all black now. Something like that. And then another instance at another job, man. I just spoke to, put it like this, Kerry. They know you're not African. They know that.
Yeah.
I go up north where they mainly based up in Chicago, the north side. The women do not speak. They don't speak to me. You know, and I don't come off bad or irremarkable or anything. They just look at you like, nigga, please. Ain't that something?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, they have a loyalty, and I think this is one of the things that it should be taught. I mean, by people who are listening, because it's not going to be taught in the mainstream. You know, you want to build a family with what you have, the foundation that you have. A lot of times we, males and females, like to just go off with other and create families with other people. That really doesn't bode too well for us. Now, it'll bode well for them, but it really doesn't bode too well for us. And you can see that going on now with all these cities in the South that people abandoned 60, 70 years ago that are still there, that we don't even listen, man. See, this is what I'm saying. You got to tell the truth, because if it don't, it'll just go by the wayside. Brother, all these cities are being gentrified.
Yes.
Do you know the Negro doesn't have enough sense to go build up his own towns where his people are from? Now, you better not talk like that. Boss gonna get you. Negro say that. Dude, are you crazy? Some beautiful places just left to the city, and you got all that land. They ain't even thinking about it. And the people who they support, Mexicans, Africans, whatever, they make their money and send it back home and build empires off your money. That's the African American.
Kerry, my middle, he's the second to the oldest son, this guy, about 32, something like that. You got 5 of them, man. It's kind of hard to keep up with. I know their birthdays, but anyway, he just recently said, "Hey, Dad, you want to come down, man, live with me? He's going to buy some land." He's in Iowa. I don't want to go to Iowa, but I told him I'm not ready yet. So he's on the right track. He's just 1 out of 5 on the right track. My daughter's already started her business, you know. I told her I'll mop the floors and be a janitor. I'm just talking. But they are, man, I mean, hey, I'm not taking any credit for that.
Right.
You know, it's just something they want. And they know it's something right, and they know they should be investing in something. But we're from Mississippi and Arkansas. That's where both sides of my family, my children's mother, sides of the family, all in that area, man. I mean, Iowa isn't far from it, but that's where we're from, man. I don't have any more family in Mississippi, man. We were born early, man. I'm the last of the men on my father's side, you know, really. So, I mean, we just got the sons we made. So that's really the one left in Mississippi. My mom's side of the family, they're still in Arkansas and in Oklahoma. You know, I got pissed off with my mom's side of the family when I went to ask them some questions because I wasn't raised by my mother. I've known her all my life. I know her. I just wasn't raised by her side of the family, you know. And I've been to one family reunion. That's back in the 80s when I came out of Job Corps. I was a teenager. And hadn't saw them since, but been online with them, you know. And they know exactly who I am. I know who they are, the aunties, a lot of them, my mom's side. And they own property down in Arkansas, man, you know. So that's why it's not a big thing with me, man. I can really trace it, but I got pissed off because most of them wrapped up in the Jesus mess. That's the young ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the elders, my uncles and aunties, man. They already said that they just don't remember quite the tribe, but they already know that they were native, or they are native. They know that. I did an interview with one of my aunties before she passed, man. I asked about where she living. Anyway, because she didn't know anything about Africans, man, you know, being in the family. All she knows, you know, that we've always been here. So I didn't press the issue because they up in age, man, the 80s and stuff, and I'm not going there with them. They gave me enough. That's all I needed. So I do the research, who was there, and what part of the county, or, you know, or whatever, and that's just like being on the west side of Chicago, man. Vice lords and disciples. We married one another sisters and brothers and shit. I mean, hell, I know that's the area. So that's when I say do the genealogy. Well, hell, your grandparents, that's where they're from. More likely, you know, the different tribes or gangs, they intermarry with one another, you know. So that's what I mean by genealogy, especially paperwork. Especially paperwork. So just saying
Mississippi,
Aboriginal, I'm an Aboriginal American don't mean jack. It don't mean nothing to me, you
right.
know.
Mississippi and Arkansas for me too. This is what April Dawn say. So who were those people? Take away the borders. See, when you guys are looking at doing your genealogy and stuff, you might want to take away the borders. Find out where they were from. Find out the little counties they grew up in. Find out the counties your people are from. What rivers were they by? Were they by mountains? What were they by? To let you know what kind of industry they were in. But you might want to, you know, kind of erase those lines in your mind, because I'm sure that's just to confuse. You know,
Well,
like Alabama and Mississippi was once one, you know,
right.
and it got cut in half. It's like, what was that about?
That's what Chief Warhorse said once.
Yeah.
Woke up, it was Louisiana at first. She woke up one day, it was I forgot I should put Florida or whatever. Yeah, those invisible lines. Yeah, that knocks a lot of people off course.
Yeah, you know? Confusion big time. Yeah, man. So I would say the difference between American Indian and Aborigine is they're basically the same. You're describing a people to a certain landmass. But I say simply, that's like, you know, you peeling around, hit a bullseye. Who are your people? Where'd they come from? Where'd they live? What town are they from? What did they do? What did they build? Those are your people. These little white signs you see when you drive through these cities and stuff, those are about your people. If you don't know the names of those places, they got, hey man, you down here in the South, that's all they got is the names of the peoples, where they lived, who they were, and stuff all over the place. So all you got to do is find out where your folks from. You might have went to one of the churches. The person who founded the town might be one of your uncles. You don't know until you look. So that's why I would suggest to everyone, just do the genealogy, where your folks come from, your pops, even if you don't know them. Your mama knew him for a minute. Where was he from? Who is it? Who is it? That will have you looking at yourself totally different than what you're doing now. So it's like, so let me just say this one.
Go ahead.
And this is a brother. He was like, "Damn, I never thought of it like that." So this cat was from North Carolina, and I was saying, you know, well, who were your people in North Carolina? And he was saying where he was from a place called like Kitty Hawk or something in North Carolina. I said, isn't that where the Wright brothers are from? He was like, yeah. I said, hey man, I never really believed some immigrants came over from England and all of a sudden just built an airplane. I didn't believe that. Could the people up there in that part of the world, could they have been into aviation? He said, yeah, because it's real windy up there. Those are people who live there before the Wright brothers or your people, but we don't know nothing about it because we looking off somewhere else. So there's all kind of places. If you see this Sam Cooke movie, Sam Cooke was from Money, Mississippi.
Yeah.
That's the same place where the Emmett Till situation took place. So I'm saying, listen, this country is rich. It's rich with the blood of your ancestors. It's rich with the bones of your ancestors. It's rich with everything you've put into it. You'd be a fool just to trick it off.
You know, My mother's maiden name is Coleman. My grandmother's maiden name, Coleman, their surname. And the research I did, my mother's mother name is Picola. And as I said, I wasn't raised by them. I had to do a research on Picola, and it means bold Indian. You don't name Africans, and they wasn't naming no Africans, no Indian names, man. And my grandfather, her husband, name was Leon. Well, Leon is a common name, but it means brave. You know, these are American names. And Coleman from Arkansas were coal mine workers up there. That's just where the name come from. The changing of the letters, just like the changing of the letters of America. You know, these are American names, man. They own a lot of treaties or rolls and everything. But when a lot of people try to bring that they got a white man's name or something like that, man, you haven't done the research, and you wouldn't really be making comments like that. Doesn't bother me. I just know they don't know what I know. You know. Now Hampton, from what my auntie, my father's elder sister, told me years back, well, we're original tailors, and Taylor is not an English name. Right. You know, they're tailor makers. Now, how my grandfather ended up with the name Hampton, I figure it had something to do with him becoming a Mason. Okay? Right. And he was killing Indians or Negroes, whatever you want to call us, back in the early 1900s, you know. I'm not talking about the 50s. I'm going back, coming out of 1800s. So, I mean, these names, man, I wouldn't change them. I wouldn't. Because, that's coming today, man. We're going to have our way. I may not live to see it, as Martin Luther King said. I may not get there with you, but that's okay.
Well, cool, man. Any last words you want to leave the group with as they go about their way? Something that they could go ahead and nibble on psychologically as they go about their day.
Yeah, that's my brand. Genealogy is the key to ancestry. Okay? Just do the research. You know? Just how much energy you put in 10 years back to be an Egyptian, or Zaka Zulu, or Kizes, Kunta Kintes, or whatever. You did all that research in the Hebrew Israelites, but you won't ask your second uncle on your daddy's side not a damn question about what happened in his day coming up. That's sad. And if you do know, and you're only doing it for the reason of getting paid off this Israelite mess, and that's another thing. My daughter, 57, she's 36. Oh, 37. Anyway, her mom, man, we estranged now. Her mom, she's a Hebrew Israelite. She wasn't brought up that way, don't know a damn thing about it, man. She became that with her new husband, you know. Just shit in her family from those damn, I know the family. If you saw my children's mother, yeah, she got all those characteristics of a high cheekbones, Cherokee, and all that mess, you know. And Cherokee, as I said, it's actually a language, mixed language, and you know you can speak it. There's so many ethnicities within Cherokee. That's why so many people can claim it. Just like with Aboriginal, you can claim it. You know, okay. What were you, Catawba in the Cherokee? What were you, Anahuia? Who were you? You know. So that's what I'm leaving with you. Genealogy is the key to your ancestry, not the spit test. And we all know about that. You send off your spit, your dog spit, and come back as a Native American. That's what I leave with you.
So when he says genealogy, is this simple. So let's say you get a plant. You get a plant, you want to splice that plant. All you're going to do is cut off a little bit of piece of that plant and plant it some more. The plant that you cut off is always going to be connected to that plant it was cut from. That's you. Now, so when we make fun of the Hebrew Israelite, the Muslims, the Moors, the Greeks, and all that, because these are all the ideologies that Negroes got into once they were told they were going to be able to integrate. Because remember, you wanted to be into this. You wanted to go to school with these. You wanted to eat this food. You wanted to live this lifestyle. You begged and marched and all that blah, blah, blah that you did for it. How's it going? How's it going? and so seriously. As an entity on the planet, as a group of people on this planet, you're here for something. Every single last one of us. You no different, no better, no worse than nobody else on this planet. The thing is, other people are organized against you. Isn't it about time you organize yourselves?
Thank you, April Dawn. I pray I see the day too. Yeah.
Cool, man. So look, you guys have a good night. I know it's Saturday night. I know it's shake ass night. Don't shake it too much. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace out, Kerry.
All right.